The Talented Mr. Ripley is a novel by American author Patricia Highsmith, published in 1955. It is a psychological thriller, and she introduces for the first time in this book the character of Tom Ripley, the protagonist of four more of her novels: Ripley Underground, Ripley's Game, The Boy Who Followed Ripley, and Ripley Underwater. Patricia Arpeth was born in Fort Worth, Texas, and grew up with her grandmother, but as an adult she moved to Switzerland, where she lived in solitude, avoiding the spotlight. What is often said about her is that she was a cranky, ambitious, and extremely sincere woman, so outspoken that she was sometimes even unpleasant. But her humor, her sensitivity, and her being different on precisely all fronts is rarely mentioned. She never hid her homosexuality, for example, and never compromised with American respectable morality by choosing a man to marry just to keep up appearances. This is what Margherita Giacobino writes about her in her fictionalized biography, The Price of Dreams. She is said to have invented a new form of detective storytelling that influenced the other authors who came after her. The themes the writer employs are very strong, typical of psychological thrillers, and The Talented Mr. Ripley is a clear example of it. Anthony Minghella in 1999 made it into a movie, although the same novel had already been adapted by René Clément in 1960 under the title Purple Noon. Mr. Ripley is a broke 25-year-old American who through a stroke of luck moves to Europe with a mission, bringing Richard Greenleaf back to the United States to his family, where his ailing mother is waiting for him. Tom, who has never been able to lead a stable life, get a secure job and live in peace, takes the matter to heart and is initially determined to carry it out successfully, but something goes wrong and the boy's twisted mind causes him to forget the main objective, slipping into a succession of events that he can no longer control. Tom first meets Richard, or Dicky, as his friend called him, on the beach of a small village in the region of Campania, Mongibello. With him there is Marge, presumed girlfriend, with whom Tom will never be able to establish a friendly relationship because she considers him a threat to their happiness, achieved in that corner of the world far from the hustle and bustle of the United States. The relationship between Tom and Dicky is explored much more in the movie than in the book. From the book, it emerges a certain dislike of Richard towards Tom, which in the movie is clear only in the fateful episode in the little boat in San Remo, which will cost Dicky his life. Tom's obsession with his friend begins from their first meeting. He takes a certain pleasure in imitating him, his voice, his movements, the way he thinks. He begins to despise himself, preferring Dicky and wanting to take possession of his life. This obsession could be the result of Tom falling in love with Dicky, but he does not want to admit it to himself, primarily because being homosexual at that time, and especially in a close-minded country like Italy, was a disgrace. The film production is meticulously detailed, so much so that it seems more accurate than the book itself. The cast is exceptional, starring two Italian actors, Fiorello and Ivano Marescotti. Every scene, the surroundings are perfectly portrayed on the big screen. It is a story that celebrates Italy, Rome, Naples, Sanremo, but also stereotypes it. Highsmith repeatedly points out the inability of Italian police compared to the American one, and Tom Ripley himself underestimates the capability of Italians' law enforcement, and is sure that his crimes will never come to light. The central theme of the play is living in a lie and the possibility of doing so without problems. Ripley, after killing Dicky, does not feel guilty because his jealousy and lust for life in Dicky Greenleaf's shoes make him unaware that he has committed heinous crimes. Tom undoubtedly suffers from a personality disorder, but the matter is not dealt with in this book in much depth, and although he is not a mentally stable person, there are few direct references to the problem, either in the movie but especially in the book, which although written in the third person has no commentary by the narrator on the issue. We often witness monologues by Tom in which he himself is tormented by his persona and cannot remain calm in the whirlwind of emotions that assail him. Another key element of the story is the stereotyping of Italy. Highsmith has certainly done a lot of research or personally visited the cities she talks about, from the small village Mongibello to Rome, Naples, Paris. Although the names of the hotels are made up and many Italian words inserted within the dialogues are incorrect, the cities are described in detail and it's clear that she had a complete knowledge of the places. Despite this, the result, both in the book and in the film, is that of an Italy seen through the eyes of an average American, a country that is not avant-garde as the United States, where one cannot talk business because what counts are cocktail parties and ski vacations. I think Mrs. Highsmith has done an outstanding job in introducing us to the character of Tom Ripley in his first novel, because after reading the book, which leaves us with some bittersweet sensation, we can't wait to find out more about his personality and his complicated way of seeing things. We want to understand why he makes certain choices, we want to understand if he really feels no guilt for what he has committed. In all honesty, although the book is very well written and in simple English, which is not complicated even to a non-native speaker, I preferred the movie adaptation. The music, the colors, the settings made me empathize with the world of Tom Ripley and Dickie Greenleaf. The sense of anguish accompanies the spectator throughout the movie, and he feels complicit with Tom in the crimes he commits and is afraid of being discovered. What struck with me deeply is the moral of the story, which is that everyone in front of our eyes can hide things we will never expect. Tom Ripley is on the surface honest and wouldn't hurt a fly, but in reality there is not a single shred of truth in his life. He himself does not know whether he is living his own life or another person's, and he is perfectly comfortable in this set of crimes and lies.